Now, we've gone 3, and this remains the first year. As you can see from the video, what we do is we go for 7 days. Well, it's total 8 because we leave on Saturday, and we arrive on Sunday, and we go to the mission, and we get to know everyone working there, and we get settled in, and then we are briefed on what we're going to do for the week. And so what we do is Monday morning until Friday morning, we are split into 3 groups between our team, and we are given a translator and a few interns who are working at the mission. And we go to 2 different sites per group. And so we go in the morning to one site, and then come back and have lunch and go to another one in the afternoon. And what we do while we're there is we just do vacation Bible school like we do here, and then we kind of integrate our version of what we know about God and kind of immerse it into the kids so that they have some sort of idea of what we know, and then they kind of teach us that. So we end up playing with them for about an hour, and then we go into a craft or a Bible skit or some sort of lesson just to get them to kind of trust us. And so throughout the week, we bond with these kids over 4 days, it seems like. And you come back just a changed person. So,
a big part of what we're doing is obviously we're down there as Christians, and so we spend probably 30 or 40 minutes in the morning. We do something that's called tag time. It's time alone with God. We're given a devotional. We get to read it, and then we're kind of just supposed to sit kind of in the presence of the Spirit. And I know it's my 3rd year going, and really my 1st year I bonded with a bunch of kids. My 2nd year going, it was still amazing, but there was something different. And then this 3rd year was really such an enlightening year for me personally. I went to have a lot less baggage than I had in the past. And really, when I was sitting here at tag time, I wasn't thinking of people who I was missing. I was really just trying to immerse myself in the presence of God. And I found that even as someone who I have a lot to say normally, I was shocked that I could spend 40 minutes in sitting by myself, and I could talk to God, and I had no problem. I never ran out of things to say, things to be thankful for, people to pray for. Like it was just so moving to me. And then we had evening worship every night, and Thursday night we did communion. And I think that hit home to a lot of us. Everyone takes communion in their church, but I don't know, there was something different about it. I know personally, Emily, someone who has celebrated so many amazing times in my life with me. She's been there so many times for me, so be receiving communion from her, it's kind of like your best friend sharing in the Lord with you, and it was so moving to me. And I remember pulling away from the mission. I felt so bad for the kids sitting next to me because I was bawling. And I didn't cry when we left Costa, but I was crying so much when we left that mission. And there's something about being down there. It's so easy to be close to God. It's so easy to be immersed in the Spirit and to have I had never felt that at peace, honestly. Even this 1 week there's something different about it than the other 2, and I have never felt so at peace this week. It was amazing. And when I left, I was at the hot springs with my sister, and I remember just crying because I didn't want to leave the mission. I didn't want to leave. I was so scared that I would get home and I would let the distractions get in my way again, and I wouldn't feel this way that I felt. And I remember telling her, I just want to do this. And a big part of my testimony is the first time I ever asked God what He wanted me to do in my life. And I've gone through careers since then, but for the first time I really felt like this week I was shown my calling, and I have decided I want to spend a few years after college being a full-time missionary, because there's something about, vacations are so great, but when you get to go down and spend a week, and you leave knowing that you made people better, and you got to spread the word of God, it's just the most amazing feeling. I can't even convey it. And I don't exactly know how to describe to you what this week was like. I just know that I have never had so much peace in my heart as I did. And I am struggling and continuing to work to maintain that peace. Now as I'm back here and in life distractions and I start college in a couple weeks. And I know it's going to be so much more of a challenge, but I just want to thank all of you guys for giving this opportunity to go again, because it's just the most amazing experience of my entire life.
I've probably had the least amount of time spent thinking about Costa Rica of anyone on the mission, because first of all, I was not originally going on the mission. I was asked last minute to fill in for somebody who had summer classes at UCF. So I only had about 2 weeks to prepare and get packed and everything. So I didn't really know what quite to expect. But once I got to the first site on Monday, I just was, I knew what I had to do, which was to serve these children. I'll share one story that you can see the picture. There was a girl at the first site, her name was Angelika, and what happened was we brought along these coloring books so that these children could color with the markers. And at first I didn't know quite what to do or who to be with, because I didn't speak very much Spanish at first. And so I sat down next to this girl and we started coloring this coloring book, which is full of pictures of ponies, and eventually she starts talking to me, and I don't understand what she's saying. But eventually I get that she wants me to be her pony, so she gets up on my shoulders, and we start riding around this playground, Babo Tavares, and every day after that, as soon as she would see me, it was pony, pony, pony. And it was just, because at first she was one of the ones who, once we started getting in the group and doing music and worship and all, she would usually kind of stray off and play with the dog or something, but towards the end of the week she would start coming around and sitting down and listening to the music. And I just like to think that what we were doing when I was doing had some impact on her, something that she'll continue to include God in her life in that way. Which, this mission for me has been one of the most spiritual experiences of my life, if not the most. Because for the first time I really got a sense of God's love acting in the world and what that means to me personally. So for the first time, I was really helping people because I had a sense of God working with me. And I am thankful for that. And it's really made me think about what I want to be doing for the rest of my life and how I can serve other people in that way.
I just had one more thing I wanted to share. Last year when we went, I really connected with these two brothers, but this year we didn't go back to the same sites because I kind of was helping Emily because there was only 5 adults rather than 6, so we needed 2 per team. And so one of our team members managed to get hurt early in the week and had to go home. And so I kind of went between teams to fill the hole that we had. And so I was able to go back to the site 3 different mornings. And so I had this ring that he gave me last year, which I didn't wear today. And I was hoping he would be there when I went to that specific site. And so I went Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning, and he wasn't there Wednesday. And then Thursday, I saw him, but he had to go to school, so I didn't get to talk to him. And then Friday, I had the option of going to my original first site or going back to this one. And I knew that if I didn't go, I wouldn't get the chance to see him. So I just had this little sliver of hope that he would be there. And so I went to Pastoral, which is where he lives, and he was there. And I went up to him, and I showed him my ring, and he looked at me, and his eyes just lit up. And he said the same thing he said to me when I left last year. He said, "Te amo," which means I love you in Spanish. And so for me, that really hit home, because after a year of meeting however many people he's met each summer since we left last year, he remembered me. And so if that doesn't say anything. And so Lindsay and I have decided to intern next summer, because I think Costa Rica is just a home away from home for us. And so.
If you have ever served on foreign land, been a missionary, either short-term, volunteer, or you were there for a long time, would you please stand for the eternity? Remain standing. If you have ever served in local missions, here in New Smyrna Beach, maybe in your neighborhood, maybe you've participated in a fundraiser for a special event, would you stand? If you've ever written a check to support missions, would you stand? If you plan to write a check or serve on a mission field, would you please stand? If you have a heart's desire to know the love of God and share it with your neighbor, even the one you rub elbows with today, would you stand? I don't think we have to worry too much about the future of the mission field. We are all echoes of a power and authority greater than ourselves that transform lives to make an impact. The real surprise is that those impacts will turn around and bless the socks off of us someday. So I give thanks, and what an appropriate time for us to give a little bit back to God, what God has offered to us.
Hi guys, I'm Deb. So what we did is we went to Pure Vita Missions in Cerro, Costa Rica. As you can see on Emily's shirts of Pure Vita Missions. And what it is, so like, it used to be a school, and the pastor was about to die. Samuel Cox, a guy named Albert, they took over, started a mission, and on their shirts it says 10, and they've been up for 10 years, and been a mission for 10 years. And so we went there. This is my 4th year, it's both their first years. Right? Yeah. And so what we do is we get there on Sunday morning, or Sunday afternoon, and just have lunch, hang out, meet interns, and figure out what we're going to do the rest of the week. Then Monday through Friday, we go to all these sites. What our group did was we broke into 3 different smaller groups and went to 2 different sites each day. Each group had 2 sites, instead of 6 sites total, if you do math. My mom didn't like that comment. And so what we do is we go to the sites, like an hour, we play games, mostly soccer, because that's what they're best at. Play that for about an hour, and we'll do some kind of gather them together, so we'll do like a little dance, little game with them, and then we'll do a song and a Bible verse. And these are what they consist of. Yeah. Alright. Here's Spencer, or Kendall, ladies first. Come on, Kendall.
When I first heard about going to Costa Rica, I never really thought about the experience I was going to get. I was mostly just thinking about hanging out with my friends in another country. But right when I landed in Costa Rica, I started to realize that I wasn't going to be anything like home. Driving to the mission,
I just want to commend the kids. Actually, the earlier service, Haley got a little emotional. It takes a ton of courage to stand up here and talk, as I know, as an adult, and but it takes even more courage to stand up here and share things that God has done in your life and done through you. And so I know how difficult this is for them. Spencer, do you want to go?
This experience going to Costa Rica with this mission group is probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. The reason why Kendall's so emotional is because God touched us all on this trip, and this was like amazing experience. We all went to our sites and we got assigned sites and assigned jobs to do, but we all chipped in and did it all together. This is the closest experience I've ever had with God. Like, God touched my heart. Insane. It was crazy. I was so emotional there, but I mean, my first site was Bajo Taurus, and there's kids there. Like the first couple days, like they're kind of like, who are these guys? What are they doing here? And then, but there we like played soccer, did jump rope, and all kinds of stuff, and there's this, I want to do specific kids that really like showed how they've been changing throughout the week. There's this one kid, the first day he was this little menace, I swear. He was picking fights with kids, he was coughing back very low, we had to break him up and stuff. And then like probably the third day, I'd say, we were playing duck, duck, goose around the parachute you saw on the screen, and he gets picked, and and he goes around, and then he has to be the guy that picks, and he's going around and he picks this baby, and I'm like thinking, like, oh, he did that so he doesn't get caught, so he doesn't have to go in soup. And then he goes around once, I'm like, when is he gonna sit down? And then he goes around again, and he stops, and he lets the baby tackle. And I was like, and that was like a crazy experience. Like, I was like, wow. This kid's turning around on me. So we were pretty amazed by that. And the same exact day, we do like questions about the Bible verse, and we tell, and then they answer the questions. They get a piece of candy, and these kids don't have much. Like they live like dirt floors and stuff. And this kid that I was like, he was right next to me, and there's a little kid on his lap. I think it was his brother on my lap. It was his brother, and he wins a lollipop, and he breaks off pieces for his brother and his friend, and even another kid that's sitting right here next to me. And that's pretty crazy because to share when you have nothing is amazing. And then at my second site, Los Jardines, we do like VBS, and there's a 26-year-old guy that hangs out there, and he just sits over there and like doesn't do VBS because that's for littler kids, and our job is to help out the whole community, not just the little kids. And I see him over there while we're like doing a song and just sitting there and juggling the soccer ball, and I go over there and he starts teaching me like moves and stuff. He opens up, and even though I can't understand him, he still tries to help me, and I got a lot better at soccer because of him. And he was like really cool, and I just try to hang out with him as much as possible because he doesn't do like any of the group stuff that we do. He doesn't try to answer the questions or do the music. He just likes to play soccer ball, and he's really good at it. And that was pretty amazing how we connected and stuff. And that was the best trip of my life.
I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'll start it. When I first heard about going to Costa Rica, I never really thought about the experience I was going to get. I was mostly just thinking about hanging out with my best friends in another country. But then, right when we landed in Costa Rica, I started to realize that it wasn't going to be anything like home. Driving to the mission, I saw all kinds of things. From little kids walking on the streets by themselves to jail bars surrounding the houses to keep them safe. At the mission, there was rice and beans for every meal, along with a few other things, but mostly rice and beans. I was very nervous and anxious. Going to my first site, I was very nervous and anxious to meet the kids because I was worried about not being able to speak Spanish very well. But right when I got there, I met this little girl, Valentina. I didn't bond with her as much as my friend did, but I was around her enough. And what I thought was very neat about this little girl was the fact that she understood how we did not know Spanish very well. She would stand there and she would act out a lot that she was saying so we could understand her much better. But while I was at my sites, I didn't really expect to bond with any teenagers. I was just expecting little kids running around. But I got to my second site, there were teenagers there, so we thought we would give it a try to go talk to them. At that moment, I bonded with 3 boys, Kevin, Alexei, and Esteban. We mainly played soccer. We tried to get to know each other better by asking questions about us. It was difficult because we didn't speak the same language, but we made it work. Then by the next day, it felt like I knew these kids for longer than just a day. What I really noticed while I was in Costa Rica was how it's obviously not the richest country, but the kids were all so happy. My first site basically just looked like a very old park with 2 monkey bars. But watching the kids playing the monkey bars or watching them jump rope and kick a soccer ball around, it was so overwhelming. Like, I was very overwhelmed with joy to watch them have so much fun. And it really warms your heart watching these kids play and laugh together. My second site looks like a concrete basketball court. We mostly just played soccer, but each kid there, I can promise you, had a smile on their face. And that seems to be the whole reasoning of this trip, to make these kids happy and feel loved. And it was great. It was a great feeling watching it all happen. Costa Rica was the best experience I've had, and it was most definitely a time that I've remembered for a very long time.
Y'all can join me up here for just a second. We're going to have some fun. You like fun? Yeah. Y'all want to teach us how to play soccer? Another day. Okay. How many of you here have ever served on a foreign mission field? Now, what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have, is to stand and remain standing. If you've ever served as a missionary, either short-term, volunteer, long time, I want you to stand. If you have ever served as a missionary in a local setting or here in the United States, and that could be in a multitude of ways. It could be through services that we offer here through this church, or it might be a fundraiser in our local community. If you have served in any way and volunteered, would you stand? If you've ever served in the military, and that is a mission field, would you stand? If you have ever prayed for those who have been sent to the mission field, would you stand? You like what you're seeing? Yeah. If you've ever written a check so that someone could go to the mission field, would you stand? If you're willing to write another check, then you raise your hand. It is an awesome thing to be called and equipped and sent out. by a powerful and authoritative God, is it not? We don't have to worry too much about the future of the 21st century mission field. We are a part of it. And we're going to be willing to go wherever God decides to lead us, wherever God calls us. It's not always the familiar territory. Sometimes it means that we're going to learn a whole lot from the foreign lands, or from people that don't look or act or smell or function like we do. But that's all a part of this thing called the kingdom of God. We learn from one another. So I thank you for supporting your young people. This is your future church. And we are just so grateful for the blessings that God poured out to the people in Costa Rica through them, but even more so the incredible blessings that they've blessed us with here this morning. You may be seated.